Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Simply Liminal. My name is Stacy, and this is a very spontaneous reading. For a long while on this channel, I've just been doing readings at the beginning of the month and for seasonal turns, like turns of the wheel, which tomorrow is the beginning of Maybon season. So you'll see me here for another reading. But today I felt very just spontaneously drawn to do a 3-card reading for this eclipse energy that's going on. Let's light a candle and call in the energy of fire and light. I'm reading with things that are a little bit different than normally. I am wearing hematite for protection and also to help with circulation, for several other reasons that I don't need to get into, but I just really felt called to do a 3-card reading with specific questions and specific energies. And I wanted to use this deck. It is the Oracle of the Hecatean Path, and I actually used this last July or half of last July for other readings that I had that I was doing. I'm just going to move the candle out of the way. I will keep this wand here. This is an Organite wand, and I've had it for quite a long time. It contains copper in there. You can kind of see the copper underneath in the layers, and then labradorite and moonstone. So beautiful, and it seems very fitting for this eclipse energy as well as this deck. And Hecate's energy also seems really called always to new moons, really any aspect of the moon cycle, but definitely to new moons, which we are in. And eclipse season is very liminal, and she is the goddess of liminal spaces. So what I want to do with this reading is I want to look at 3 questions. The questions will be, what do we need to know during this eclipse portal? Really, the eclipse portal started 2 weeks ago, or maybe a little bit before then, with our full moon lunar eclipse. Now we are in the new moon solar eclipse, though where I'm at in Montana, we won't be able to see it. Doesn't matter if you can see it. I mean, it's cool to see, but you feel the energy no matter where you are on this planet. You know it, the planet knows it, we know it. So I want to ask 3 questions. And those questions are, what do we need to know about this eclipse cycle? What do we need to release during this eclipse cycle? And what are we going to gain out of this eclipse cycle? So I'm just kind of shuffling, however. All right. What do we need to know about this eclipse cycle? Sorry about the light. I'm trying to get it not so bright. What do we need to release during this eclipse cycle? And what are we going to gain out of this eclipse cycle? So, all right. First question. What do we need to know about this eclipse cycle? This card is Clydeus, and I believe that this was in Greek mythology. This is a Titan god that Hecate was said to have defeated. And so the question, what do we need to know about this is defeat. And I'm going to tell you what, this eclipse portal has kicked my butt. I don't know how anyone else is feeling, but I feel like I am drowning in emotion. So let's take a look at what was written by this card deck. And by the way, I just want to introduce this deck again. This is the Oracle of the Hecatean Path, and it is by Ken Payne and Chris Butler. And it's a beautiful deck, and if you're interested in liminal spaces or the energy of Hecate, I really think you should look at that. 54 numerically adds up to 9. 9 is kind of what we're in. This year, 2025, is a 9. We just had the 9/9 portal, so 9 feels strong for us. So I'm going to read this message. So Clydeus and its defeat. And it says, here we see Hecate's triumph over her adversity, the giant Clydeus. This card represents how we tackle obstacles. The odds seem stacked, but we can be sure of evoking the goddess's power to help us succeed. Through the transformative flames of her fiery brands, we can be set free. Get creative about options. Now is the time to stand up and fight for what you believe in. So I think this is what we need to know about this eclipse portal. We are probably all feeling challenges on a social level, on a family level, on a personal level, on a spiritual level. But we have a choice in how we go forward. And whatever challenge is weighing us down, we can defeat it. If we're positive, if we use the right tactics, get creative about options. I feel like this eclipse portal has been tough, but I also try to believe, I do believe that everything happens for a reason. And so this is part of something new, something that's growing and gaining power and strength. And of course, we need to overcome or defeat in that case. So the next question was, what do we need to release during this eclipse portal? And this is hard for me. New moons are about release. They're also about new beginnings and starting over, but it's like the closing of a cycle and the beginning of a cycle. Some people talk about releasing during the full moon. That's never been my tradition, and it doesn't feel natural to me. If I'm starting to release things, it will be after the 3-day window of the full moon. And then in that waning stage of the moon, you almost have 2 weeks. That is a good time for release and absolute release for the eclipses. So what do we need to release? The question here is Oriana, the heavenly one, and it is purity. That is what this stands for. And so why would we need to release purity? I think purity in this case stands for not cleanliness necessarily, but we might need to get a little down and dirty. Not mean, not hurtful, not harmful, but maybe a little down and dirty with ourselves about things we need to let go of, about things we need to overcome, about things that are holding us back. Being honest with ourselves, truthful with ourselves, and knowing that this is the time, this is an opportunity for great release. And sometimes we have to be hard on ourselves, hard on others as well, I guess. And I think it's also an idea of speaking your truth. Let's look at what the deck says here. So, Orania, heavenly one, is purity. And so, Uranus is considered kind of the heavens in Greek language. And pardon me if I'm pronouncing things wrong. I probably am, because I don't speak Greek. But it says, to approach the divine, one must first be made pure. Purity of mind, body, and spirit help foster a closer relationship to the goddess through right action. However, just as her wings can obscure the sun, be certain that there are not unseen factors that could adversely affect your circumstances. Like moths to a flame, when we begin to shine brightly, we can attract energies that would consume or corrupt. Be cautious of the genuineness of purity, both in yourself and others. And this message just kind of makes me think about some of the people I follow and the teachings I'm watching, talking about the planet changing, the planet raising her vibration, and life on this planet raising their vibration, and a move from the 3D through 4D to 5D. And I believe we are ascending. I believe we are changing. I believe our planet is adapting, as are we. And sometimes when you're raising through that higher dimension, you feel density. And that's kind of what this card feels like to me. Like moths to a flame, we begin to shine brightly, and we can attract energies that would consume or corrupt. Because there are energies on this earth around us that don't want us to ascend. So they want to drag us down. And that is why you might be feeling like everything is so hard right now, because it is hard. Because energies are trying to drag us down. Energies, entities, parasites, whatever you want to call that. So you need to know that you need to release those things and allow yourself to rise. Not the easiest thing to do. It's been a struggle for me personally. And so if anyone else is feeling that way, you have my greatest sympathy. So let's look now at what we are going to gain at the end of this eclipse portal through knowing what we know about overcoming and defeating things, about rising up through density to become something better. And here, I think, just going back to this card here for a second. So what we need to release isn't really purity. We're releasing the density so we can gain purity, and not in a sense of being perfect or perfect, but just rising above, being a little bit more light, shining a little bit more love. those are the things we need. So now this is what we're going to gain through this eclipse portal. It is the full moon. And that's interesting because I talked about the full moon at this new moon stage, like kind of classic ideas of how we release it, or how this eclipse portal really started with the full moon lunar eclipse. And now we are in the new moon solar eclipse, and we are looking at the energy of the full moon. But the message on the card is illumination. And so what I think this means for us, what we know, what we release, is going to gain us illumination, a brighter light shining on things, truths being revealed, lies being revealed, understanding a little bit more about what we're going through, what our planet is going through. I think that's what this means. So let me read this really quickly. And I just want to say I love the number 30 because I was born on the 30th of the month. So I always feel connected to it. So the card is full moon, and the meaning is illumination. And the message here says, the beauty of the full moon energizes and motivates us. We can learn much when working with the lunar energies and employ the fullest power to materialize our desires. This is also a time of pure adoration for the goddess, bringing clarity and evoking powerful dreams. Your psychic abilities may be stronger at this time or indeed need development. Hecate shines brightly on your endeavors, granting wisdom and revelation. So the full moon, we're in a new moon right now, but the full moon will be here in roughly 2 weeks. And so expect that we have fully left the eclipse portal at that time. So expect illumination, expect realization in your life, expect that you're going to feel different, that you're going to see things differently, and that you're probably going to act and behave differently. And that's okay. It's okay. It's part of our process. I truly believe that. And the more I think about the eclipses, I'm not cautious of them. I think they're here for a reason. I think they are hidden gifts, so they can be very rough. But we have to work with the energy that is gifted to us by this very special place that we're at. We're in the solar system. The earth and the sun line up perfectly with the moon during these eclipse portals, and we get them twice a year, and they are gifts to us, and they bring a lot of change. And if you look at astrology in general, the inner planets are doing some crazy stuff. They're all lined up, or they're in contradiction with themselves or each other. And the outer planets are all changing. And these are big generational shifts. So this eclipse portal maybe feels as rough as anyone that I can think about registering before. So know that you're not alone. Know that there is a way forward, knowing that we can overcome anything, knowing that once we release density, we find a higher level of light, bright, love, and purity. And in the end, we will get illumination. If it's a personal illumination, if it is a society illumination, if it is a worldwide illumination, I don't know. We could all see it differently, but know you're not alone. Know that the goddess has you. Know that this beautiful planet Earth has you wrapped up in her arms. She's going through great shifts and transition as well. Our seasons are weird right now. The equinox is tomorrow, and the energy around where I live feels very different than it normally does this time of year. Normally, by this time of September, we've had a couple freezes and stuff is done, but it's not like that. It's hot. It's 84 degrees today. It's pretty unusual for September in eastern Montana. So anyway, take care. Wrap yourself up in love and light and friendship and whatever gives you comfort. Maybe take a nice cleansing shower or bath today. Release, release, release. And know that something bigger and better is coming for you and for us all. Again, my name is Stacy. This is Simply Liminal. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow with our Mabon Fall Equinox reading. Bye-bye.